All right. Well, good morning, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started with our recommended solution and economic analysis. We're Team 7, Cameron Berger, Jacob Blant, myself, and Ian McDonald. Cameron, would you go on to the next slide, please? Thanks. So today we're going to go ahead and discuss our project description, just kind of give a little bit of a background to help everybody remember what our project is and what we're trying to accomplish. Our problem statement and requirements. What does our customer want us to solve, and our recommended solution? What have we come up for our customer, for our client, to help them solve their issues or future issues that they may be having? And then finally our economic analysis, which is we're going to go into depth of how much our product's going to cost and what it might save or what it might potentially cause for our client. Cameron, please go to the next slide. So our project description, we're working with Steven there at United Ag Co-op Grain Elevator. It's in El Campo, Texas. Currently, they're just wanting to modify their current dust unloading pit. There's no safety hazards right now. They are grandfathered in with all of their standards and regulations, but they just kind of approached us and said that they want to just make a better well-being for their employees, and they just wanted to limit it to the unloading pit and not actually add any systems. So as I said earlier, our problem statement requirements, they did just want us to provide a general system to better the work environment for the employees. There's no immediate monetary penalties to their current system. Like I said earlier, they are grandfathered in, so they aren't having to do this to meet new or upcoming standards. They're just wanting to do it for the safety of their employees, in particular to dust ventilation and excuse me, dust contamination. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Jacob, who's going to go ahead and talk about a recommended solution.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go over the recommended solution, how that might be, implemented within the within the facility there. So our team's recommended solution is to add a hopper sleeve cover during the grain unloading process. So the trucks carrying grain would first enter the unloading pit. Once inside, the truck buster employee would attach a sleeve cover, which is our solution, to the truck's unloading hopper, seen in figure 1 there. The sleeve will be attached to the truck where the grain is coming out of the hopper. You can really see that in figure 1, where the grain is going to be coming out of. So the hopper sleeve will be constructed of a pliable sheet metal that will wrap around the spout of the grain truck hopper and be securely closed by metal latches. So this will seal the grain and dust inside the sleeve while it falls into the remainder of the unloading pit system. The sleeve will be positioned flush with the truck's hopper and the grates covering the unloading pit below the truck. The sleeve will have 2 hinges on both sides in order to attach to the hopper, remain flush with the hopper and grating below, and attach and detach with relative ease. So once the sleeve is properly secured, the truck buster can begin the unloading process. When all the grain has been unloaded, the truck buster will remove the hopper sleeve and the truck can exit the pit. So since United Ag already also has a fan and cyclone filtration system in place within their unloading pit, that system will act to remove any excess dust emitted during the unloading process that the hopper sleeve itself wasn't able to contain. So let me just kind of take you through these figures here. If you could go back to the previous slide. Yeah, so figures 2 and figure 3. This is our idea of what the hopper sleeve should look like. As you can see there, it's got an initial plate on the front that has a hinge that's attached to the sleeve itself. As you can see there's those latches. So those latches are going to be what secures it and what keeps it fastened and tightened around the hopper sleeve. And then you have a hinge in the back there. So the hinge in the back, it's mainly there in order for the sleeve itself to open. That's really the most important aspect of this sleeve. It's really important that it's able to open up because since it is able to open up, now the truck buster employee, he's able to just simply slide it in between the pit itself and the truck. So without it being able to open up, and if it was one solid piece that wasn't able to open, then you would have you'd run into the problem of you'd have to either raise up the truck or remove the grates in the pit in order to kind of shimmy it in there and get it into place. So with it being able to open up and close freely, that's really, it really helps out with the detaching and attaching of the sleeve itself. And yeah, that there in figure 5 is just another kind of look at it while it is all opened up, so you can kind of get a better understanding of what I'm talking about and how the opening and closing operates. So moving on, let's kind of go over some equipment and costs. So if United Ag moves forward with our recommended solution, they'll only need to purchase one additional piece of equipment. So this would be the hopper sleeve cover in its entirety, that our team has estimated to be roughly $2,000 to $4,500. No other new purchases will need to be made if our solution is implemented, because United Ag already has all other equipment required of the average grain elevator unloading pit in place at their El Campos production site. So really this hopper sleeve is really the only piece of equipment needed. Kind of moving on to some possible vendors, and again, some additional pricing. So currently, there are no new vendors who make hopper sleeve covers for grain elevator unloading pits. However, thanks to its simple design, it'll be fairly easy and simple to fabricate and install. So on average, a custom fabricated piece of metal like this that would include all the pieces will range from $2,000 to $4,500. This estimate was taken into consideration based on the materials needed in order to build a metal sleeve with 2 hinges and 2 metal latches. So our team has developed a list of custom metal fabricators located in Texas, shown in table 2 there, or table 1, sorry, that United Ag could potentially use for the development of their hopper sleeve. Cameron's now going to start explaining the economic analysis that comes along with the implementation of a hopper sleeve like this.
So moving forward, to just further elaborate on some of the financial numbers that are involved in this implementation, as Jacob mentioned, this equipment that's going to be that fabricated metal sleeve that would be utilized as this hopper cover, that's going to be between $2,000 and $4,500, as was mentioned. And something else that would be involved is the training that would be necessary for this implementation. And our team estimated that this would only take about an hour just to show the two workers that are involved in the dump pit, which is the truck buster and the pit operator, just to show them how that sleeve would actually work. And we went ahead and estimated that, given that you do this hour training before season, outside of working hours, that would just cost around their hourly wages. So that's $9 for a truck buster, $11 for the pit operator, which would be at a total of $20 an hour just for that training session. And our team decided that there were no installation fees to address here, because there's no one-time installation for this implementation. The hopper sleeve is something that's going to be put on the truck during a dump, taken back off during a dump, and that's just going to be used throughout the daily activities of this pit operator and truck buster. As far as operating costs goes, for this hopper sleeve, we went ahead and just estimated, an average maintenance, maybe a wear and tear, and that would come up around maybe $250 a year for that equipment specifically. There were no utilities, no additional fees applied for the utilities, because, we're not drawing extra power or anything based off this implementation. It's just that hopper sleeve cover specifically. As far as labor goes, other than that training session, as we described, there's really no additional labor that's needed. Besides, that truck buster and pit operator that might be handling this piece within, the movement of putting it onto that truck as it goes into to dump into the pit and take it off. So, potentially if numbers were to be involved, it would still just be that hourly wage of your truck buster and your pit operator as seen there. So the source of the value that's coming from this implementation for United Ag specifically is the goal is being met. This hopper cover will help with the dust emissions issues if they're, in order to protect the workers further, which was really what was stressed. Just making sure that environment is safer for them, or as safe as could possibly be. So specifically, potential savings from worker medical expenses. This is something that our team is trying to really stress in the future. Right now, we're actively working on communicating with Steven at United Ag, as well as trying to get more information from outside resources to really pinpoint specific numbers here, because we want to stress that this is really what the economic focus is because it's, we're trying to make it a safer environment for workers that would help mitigate future liabilities, such as their medical expenses. Say somebody had respiratory issues and United Ag is liable for that. So that is something that we are currently getting more information on, and we'll be able to further elaborate in the future. And then there's the potential savings from avoiding future fines from stringent regulatory standards. That's just environmental standards are getting more and more strict every day. And so we just want to make sure these are the fines that we would be avoiding by making sure that we are being proactive with this dust emissions and not being subject to any of those fines going forward. And moving on from here, Ian's going to take over and talk to you guys about some of the cost and benefits analysis that we've been doing.
Somebody's going to tell Ian to unmute.
Ian, can you hear me?
Ian, you there?
Yeah, sorry, I had it on mute. So as far as the cost and benefits go, the sleeve is simply an addition to the pre-existing system, and the only real costs would be the $2,500 for the actual sleeve itself and the very small amount of training that would be necessary to begin deploying it. Using this sleeve would allow us to maintain the same labor costs, which we've estimated to be $9 an hour and $11 an hour, respectively, for the truck buster and pit operator. And the deployment would not in any notable way affect the timeliness of the pit operation. The sleeve provides mitigation of the risk of lawsuits and potential fines down the road from future regulations that overrule the current grandfathering of the United Ag system. And can you switch to the next slide? While the current system provides an adequately safe working environment with low dust emissions, our sleeve would further improve and ensure the employee safety and reduce the risk of respiratory issues such as asthma and COPD, which, according to the CDC, run $8,000 and over $27,000 respectively for an inpatient visit if those employees do have any issues. And then as far as our critical values go, the cash flow, net present value, and internal rate of return, we came to the conclusion, since this sleeve does not provide any profit or increase any profit for United Ag, that the cash flow, net present value, and internal rate of return are practically negligible. So we decided to omit them. Going forward, we recommend that United Ag moves forward with the hopper sleeve, and upon their go-ahead, we will start finalizing our economic analysis and then begin our risk and implementation plan, and then look at finalizing what vendor we suggest United Ag go through. And with that, any questions?
Okay, let's have the peer team make your comments and questions.
I'll start. I thought two things really stuck out to me. In the beginning, I think that Jacob explained the recommended solution pretty well, and I thought it was easy to follow what the sleeve is and does, and I think the drawings really made that a lot easier. And then towards the end, I thought the cost and benefits, I'm convinced. I thought that y'all brought up a lot of, I'm not going to say problems, but ways that the old solution or old system could be improved, and then showed how y'all recommend to improve it. And I thought that it was super easy to follow, and it really made a lot of sense. And I don't see any reason why this new solution wouldn't be implemented.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks.
One or two more.
I'll say something. I really liked almost everything, but the only thing that really confused me is I guess the wages for all the workers, and I just think that it was a little too low like, where did you get those? It's because from my experience, my family's from import and export, and they're usually a little higher.
Yeah, so that's something that I kind of estimated. Again, that is something that we'll have to work with Steven to get. He hasn't been able to get back with me with that information, so I just that was a rough estimate. Moving forward, we'll definitely easily be able to finalize those numbers. Once we get in touch with Steven about them.
Okay.
I will say just from prior experience, normally that job is conducted by like high school students. So minimum wage is, I think, what is it, like $7.50 or $7.75? So that's actually higher than minimum wage. But that job is normally for I don't know how to put it. It's for high school students. You know what I mean? So it's not a high skilled job, and that's pretty much the going rate, if not actually higher than what the industry is actually normally paying for those two positions.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Let me go first on this one. 13 minutes long. I appreciate you guys getting right on it, and very well distributed among the four of you. Your presentation style is improving. I like the way that you're presenting yourself on the screen. You're able to get through the slides without any questions or any stumbling. Tristan, I like the way that you presented the agenda and the problem statement. You've really narrowed the problem statement down to answer some of my questions that I've asked previously. This is not a regulatory compliance issue. It's simply a quality of life issue that the client wants. And so with that, it helps to frame your economic analysis. There's no, it's hard to, like you said, it's hard to get a return on investment when you don't know what the savings are. It's hard to quantify that. We'll talk about that. I'll give you some ideas. Okay, the recommended solution is obviously the hopper sleeve cover. No question about that. That was one of the 3 or 4 potential solutions that you presented, so I followed that just fine. Let's go to the drawing of the hopper sleeve cover. Don't do this, okay? I don't want to see any more hand drawings, okay? You're college seniors. We've given you some materials. You've taken a class. No more hand drawings, okay? If I was the client, I would say you're fired.
What would you recommend that I use?
What was presented to you in MMET 105?
I haven't taken that course.
That's a required course in our syllabus. How can you?
No, it's at Colonel McGee. It's actually not required. You can take that one, or I think it's like ISTM, but it was changed whenever I think we were like freshmen.
It depends on your minor. So if you're a business minor, you have to take ISTEM.
Yes, sir. I took ISTEM.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm the head of the curriculum committee, guys. It used to be Engineering Design Graphics 105. Now it's MMET 105. Somebody in your team should have taken this. And plus, we presented a lecture at the end of last semester to give you a resource, a guy named Matthew Whitaker, that you could go to and say, hey, I need some help with drawings. Okay. But there's other drawing tools, Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint. You're just talking about a cylindrical object. You should be able to do that. Anyway, on your final report, you don't need to have this on there. Okay. Plus, it doesn't really help me understand how this interfaces with the truck. I'm familiar with grain trucks. They've got a rectangular back end with usually two slots that you open that are rectangular. How does this cylindrical thing fit onto the rectangular back of the truck? Explain that to me.
If you go to the previous slide.
Yeah, okay.
So from my understanding, it could be square. If it is square, that's a problem. That's something that we will definitely have to change. I thought that was a simple thing to implement. To fix that problem, if it is square, I would just change the design to more square structure rather than a cylinder.
And I'm not sure what I'm looking at. So this figure is not much help either. Anyway,
well, that Colonel McGee, that's how grain is unloaded. Yeah, it's not dumped from the back anymore.
Yes, sir.
Or at some older trucks there are, but like that's how that's how grain's unloaded in hopper trucks now. It's underneath. It's a belly dump.
Okay, so it's a belly dump. Again, I mean, I'm someone who at least is a little bit more familiar than the average person with grain unloading, and your drawing doesn't show how it connects to the truck. So that needs to be expanded. You need to do a better job of explaining how the system connects to the truck.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Would you recommend like a literal drawing of the sleeve connected to it? Because I mean, I tried to explain the best that I could of how you apply it and how you slide it in between the unloading pit and the truck.
Yeah, I think showing how it connects to the truck would probably be a good step.
Okay.
Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Let's go to the Jacob. You talked about equipment. Now, there's multiple typos on your presentation. Read those numbers for me, Jacob.
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, the 4,500 is wrong.
All right. Attention to detail is what we're looking for seniors who are trying to make a presentation for their client. I mean, this is like an exam, okay? And also on the very last slide, Ian, you misspelled the client's company. Untied Ag, okay? I mean, I would probably not want to come back and get your business anymore if you can't even get the name of my company right. But let's go back to the content. So this is a pretty wide range. So my question is, how much of this is materials and how much is the construction cost of labor by one of the vendors? Have you got that broken down?
So that rough estimate of the 2,000 to 4,500, that's including the entire sleeve components all together. So that would include, the vendors are the custom fabricator vendors of metal, right? So it'd be all inclusive. So that you would get with them so the end product is the exact drawing that I kind of drew up.
So that includes the labor and the construction. What is the material? What is this made of?
Just metal.
No, you got to say more specific than that. My Aggie ring is made of metal.
I'm sure the typical industry metal that's used in it.
No, that's not good enough. I need a gauge.
I couldn't tell you then. I don't have an exact one.
Is this carbon steel? Is it stainless steel? That's not enough. Okay, I need to know the materials this thing's made of. I mean, I realize you guys are not trying to design this, but this is not a high-level design. So just that basic information is not there. Okay, let's go to Cameron. Your material, your presentation about the labor. A truck buster. Yeah, let's stop there. Okay, yeah, truck buster, $9 an hour. Pit operator, $11 an hour. So they've already got a pit operator, right? So that shouldn't be a new cost. Is the truck buster somebody new who is only there to attach the hopper sleeve to the truck?
There's 2 employees. We stated that there are 2 employees. So the truck buster is the one who actually unloads, and the pit operator is the one who just kind of manages the whole operation. From what Steven has told us, the pit operator is kind of just there to view the whole process, and the truck buster is the one who actually unloads the grain.
All right, gotcha. So really, there's no additional labor because you're using existing labor.
Yes, sir. And it says right there, no additional fee under labor.
Yeah, but then you threw in some numbers, so it was a little confusing.
Okay. Well, those would be the hourly rates of the employees.
Yeah, which are not a part of this solution.
But that's operating cost. So you kind of have to take that into consideration, wouldn't you?
Well, are you going to pay them any additional money to implement this solution? I mean, so right now, I mean, if I'm the truck buster, I'm going, look, I'm paying $9. You're paying me $9 an hour now, but now you want me to do more by attaching this hopper sleeve to every truck that comes through here. Are you going to pay him the same, or are you going to raise his rate?
Pay him the same.
You need to think about that. If you're not going to raise his pay, that's okay, but just make that clear. All right, I'm going over time, so let me ask Dr. Castell to come up.
gonna be quick. I agree completely with Professor Maggie on everything. The drawing was a major problem with your presentation, and again, no dimension. So I had no idea of the size of that sleeve and how it's connected to the hopper. So, and I had question, which metal? There are several types. Which one is more recommended for grain elevators, and the prices might change. So that was something. A final note, remind the audience why the solution is the best one. How does that ensure a safer environment for the workers? I don't remember that. I don't know. So remind us, right, why that's the best choice that you have. I don't remember. Otherwise, we're organized, you know what you're doing, work on your drawings, spelling, and add dimensions to your drawing. We need to know what is the size of your design. Okay, good job.